Hi, and welcome to the Higher Education Access Corner. I'm your host, Tiffanie DeVan, and I'm excited to have with me today my fellow Access partner, Sonya Mann-McFarlane, who is going to be joining me for a Hot Topic segment. So she's our special co-host for today's episode. Okay. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Tiffany. It's
Absolutely.
a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And for those who don't know, Sonya, you cover which territories?
I'm in Lancaster, Lebanon, Berks, and Chester counties.
All right, and we have a wealth of knowledge today. Today we're going to be talking about summer planning for higher education. So it's summertime, hopefully everyone's getting well rested, and we want our students, especially our high school students, to really focus a little bit of your summer on some things that will help you to get to the next phase for higher education if you're planning to go to a college or career school. Sonya's been with PHEAA as an Access partner for 15 years or over 15 years.
Yep, absolutely.
But she has personal experience, professional experience, and a little bit of everything else to help guide this discussion. So, Sonya, let's get started and let's talk about some of the things that we want to share with students, with families, about what they could do over the summer to kind of get them going and be better prepared for their post-secondary experiences. One of the things that Sonya and I were talking about, and I'm going to share it for those who can see, there's a timeline that we have called Planning for Higher Education Timeline. This is a publication that is provided by PHEAA, and it's available on our website at PHEAA.org. Anyone can order it, get a hard copy. They can also order it and look at the digital copy. But it's a nice timeline, and we thought it would be a good discussion point to start with. So if you wanted to start, Sonya, just some things that you can think of for that student prior to their senior year. So we'll leave the seniors for last, but prior to their senior year, over the summer or whatever time period, what should they be focusing on?
We'll concentrate now on the summer, and just like to say that I am also a parent. I've had 2 kids to go off to college, and now I'm a grandparent, and my granddaughter is now an upcoming senior. So this is not only a professional experience of mine, but it's also a personal journey as well. So I feel that one important thing that a junior should take or an uprising senior should do is to make sure they get on the college campuses that they hope to apply. That they, kind of narrow their list down. Maybe they have 5 schools on their list by now. That's another thing. We wanted to narrow that list down to a feasible list that they can manage and make the applications. But it's important that they actually visit the campus, because you do not want to send your child away where they're going to spend the next 4.5 to 6 years somewhere where they've never seen it before, because it will become their home.
And it'll have a different feel for them.
Absolutely.
And I think both of us have seen a lot of students and families where they choose a school based off of look, someone else's recommendation.
Their best friend is going.
Their family members have gone, and then they get to the campus and they realize this is not at all what I pictured for myself. So it has to be a personal decision, and you're choosing for yourself, but it's a feeling sometimes. Like, this feels good. This feels like a place I can kind of stick around and visit for a time being. One of the things, though, I want to kind of even back up on, even before we get to choosing the college, because I think it's important as well, is just do a little bit of exploration over the summer on careers. What do you want to do?
And we were just talking about it with my granddaughter.
We were, right?
Saying that she's going to major in chemistry, and he said, "What kind of job?" I'm like, "I don't know what she wants to do."
Right?
So yes,
and this is a good time, I think, for students to kind of like start to figure that out. Okay, well, what kind of careers are you interested in? If you're going to major in something, what does the job market look like? What specifically do you want to do? And I don't know if it's okay to share. You said, she's interested in chemistry.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do
with that
chemistry degree? And there are great sites out there. I know for us, we have educationplanner.org.
That's what I was just going to talk about. Yep. Ed Planner is awesome for career exploration, because they can also link that to the schools that they have in mind, and then it would then give them a link to the school. They can actually look at some of the statistics for those particular schools that they think they have an interest in. We probably run across a lot of kids that have a career in mind, but they don't know which schools to go to. Ed Planner will help them, come up with some relevant school names that they can research.
So let's break that out a little bit more, because I know you do a lot of Ed Planner sessions.
Yes.
As an Access partner with some of the students, like in the computer lab. But let's just pull it back to say, okay, they're at home doing it in the summer. How do they navigate through some of that process if they're at home without your assistance?
Well, they can always call the access partner if they want us to do like a virtual session. I know you and myself make ourselves available for our customers. But go to edplanner.org and just find a career. Do a career search, and it will let them take an assessment. If they don't really know what it is they want to do, they can take an assessment. It will give them a list of jobs that they might want to research further. The site will then let them look at the specifics behind those careers, like what training is needed, and again the schools that they can look to for that training. The salary information is there. We have it, the careers coded as a bright career. So we tell them if you see a sunshine next to the career, that means that the jobs are growing in that field. So we try to help them with that. And the salary is there as well, because later we want to have a conversation with them around the finances. And my rule of thumb when I'm doing a financial aid night, I said, do not borrow more than your expected first year's salary, period. And they go, what? I said, okay, so you're going to school, yes. What's the career that you've chosen? This is what I want to do. What's your salary? They tell me that number. I said, now when you start your financial aid review, try not to borrow more than that amount. Then you can have a feasible quality of life, once you start into the repayment of your student loans.
Sort of like live the lifestyle that you want, but you have to do the research up front, because I may say I want to be a chemist, but depending on how I've imagined my life looking and my lifestyle looking, do they earn enough money to live the lifestyle that I want to live? And like you said, if I have to now borrow and incorporate that into my monthly budget, what is that going to look like? How much room is that going to leave me?
Exactly.
For fun. And the other part I say is, if you're in educationplanner.org, like you said, there are all sorts of assessments. Like you talked about the one for searching for that particular career. And a lot of times we both run into students when they'll say, I have absolutely no idea what I want to do. And the assessment that you're talking about, the one that was called, I think it's like searching for finding my
skills that match my interests,
or something like that. Yeah. It generally will ask you, what are your likes and dislikes? So what are your hobbies? So it kind of pairs it up based off of what the student is actually entering. And even though we're talking about regular students who are still in high school, this applies to anyone. Maybe someone wants to go into a different career change or something like that. But I think that's good to look at, and it's a lot to keep someone busy.
It's free.
And it is free.
They can do it on their phone. I said, look, do it with your mom and dad on your way home from soccer practice or whatever.
There you go.
Just swipe it and go. Yeah.
I don't tell them that, but that's a good thing. That is a good thing to know. So we want them to do their searching for the college and careers. And then also, even if they can't get to the schools right now, they can write down a listing of the schools that they think they want to go to, so that they can visit. Start with a virtual tour that can be done online.
And I found that the virtual tours have really been enhanced since COVID.
So did I.
So the schools have really beefed those up a lot. It's almost like a live
little movie
visit,
almost like Atlanta, and you can kind of navigate through the different areas.
But nothing beats setting your foot on the campus.
I agree. But if they start now, just to say, hey, these are the schools that I'm interested in, here's a virtual thing. When they come to the school for the college fairs, also, they come to the schools, check them out, and then they're hitting the campus, so they're gaining as much information as they need. And I always say, don't forget to pop in on the financial aid office, because that's part of what we do. Yes. So it's a good fit, it sounds good, but can you afford to go there, right?
Absolutely.
So we talk about that one. Another thing is, I think for the students, make sure, in addition to educationplanner.org, they're preparing themselves for, you and I were talking about this too, for any standardized tests that they may need to take.
Yes.
You were talking about like the SATs and things like that. You want to talk about that?
Well, Ed Planner also has practice exams on the site, so they can actually go to Ed Planner and practice for the SAT and or the ACT exam right from Ed Planner. I still refer to Ed Planner as a one-stop shop for college and career planning, because you can do everything from looking at where you want to go to prepping, and then looking at the costs and that kind of thing. We link out to my Smart Borrowing site from Ed Planner as well, which is another very helpful site. Once they've narrowed some schools down, they should actually and realistically look at the cost.
I agree. Another thing with the SATs, so for those who don't know, they go to collegeboard.org. That's where you can register for your SATs. I think over the summer is a great time to go just check out that website in general, because you can get a couple things you can figure out. Number one, you can figure out when you need to register for your SATs if you have to take them.
Yep.
There is one that's coming up, I do know, in August, and there's a registration deadline that's in August. And then they're all laid out for the upcoming 25-26 school year. So all those dates are out there from August 2025 through June 2026. So a student can kind of figure out what they need to do. Again, like you said, they can do some practice runs with it as well. They also can be mindful, maybe they can't afford to cover the SAT costs.
Right.
There are fee waivers that are out there, so when the school year kicks in, they can make sure that they're in touch with their counselors to get as many waivers as they can, or get those details on the website. And then the other one, there's a Big Futures. So inside of College Board, there's the Big Futures page. Big Futures I love because it's sort of like a one-stop shop regarding scholarship information. And Big Futures has a scholarship. And what it does is it tells students, depending on where they're at, if they do certain activities, they kind of get more opportunities to be entered into their scholarship. And I think it starts as early as like the sophomore year in high school. And it might say, hey, you know what, if you register with Big Futures and now you're researching 5 schools, you may get so many credits. And then, okay, did you do a FAFSA? You get so many more. Did you look at this?
A lot of high school students probably get registered when they take the PSAT on College Board.
And that might be the case, but they don't actually, they've changed this now. I just learned you don't actually have to register for the PSATs anymore like you do. So on College Board, you're still registering for the SATs. PSAT, and I just found that out recently, you're just working through your high schools, because the high schools will actually schedule them for them to take them there, and it's virtual now, so it's an online thing for the SATs. So I found that out by just going to their website.
So they have scholarship information out on Big Futures.
Yeah, Big Futures is one of their programs, and it actually has, they have a scholarship themselves that they give out.
Gotcha.
But it has a lot of information that I love to refer students to that one. So
now, what year did you say they should register for Big Futures? I'm sorry.
They can go in, I want to say it's as early as their sophomore year.
Because I know we published Big Futures on our suggested scholarship list, but I didn't.
Yeah, so that gives them lots of information about scholarship searches in general, and they can research additional types of scholarships. But in addition to that, there is a Big Futures scholarship. In addition to the other ones that they can look for, they create an account through Big Futures, and then it gives them all of the criteria that they need. So don't quote me on exactly it being sophomore year. There might be some things that they can do to increase their chances through Big Futures their freshman year, but I know through sophomore year it starts with some good advice and good information for them as well. And then, of course, scholarship opportunities. I think for the summer, right now is a good time to start just researching scholarships, figuring out what they offer, what is needed. We talk about like that scholarship resume or that academic resume for students. And I think summertime is a great time, especially if you're a junior, to start building.
Go ahead and write that college essay.
Yes. And just tweak it. So it's one general. I usually think if they can give me a standard scholarship, generic one, who you are, if you know what your future career goals are, something about you that's going to pop, something about you that's unique maybe. And then once you have that standard essay, you can tweak it from time to time.
My granddaughter's already written hers.
And she's written hers.
Had her to do it in her sophomore year, actually.
So sophomore year, okay. So for our sophomores, maybe even freshmen.
She started it, so I guess, she did hers before she left 10th grade. I mean,
nice.
11th grade,
11th grade. So for our sophomores, it's never too soon.
And we're doing PHEAA, the PA School Services. We have a scholarship webinar. I think it's
we have several.
Webinar, on scholarships. So
and I was going to mention that at the end, but now that you mentioned it, we have a slew of statewide webinars that will be coming up. Actually, there's one in July 10th, I want to say.
Yep. There is.
That the series starts, I think, July 10th, and it's going to run through the entire academic school year. So for those of you who are listening, you visit PHEAA.org/virtual, so PHEAA.org/virtual, and a list of all of our webinars for the 25-26 academic school year will be there. You can register for them and see what they are. I think offhand there's going to be some that talks about how to complete the PA State grant form. I think that might be the first one that's coming up. Some for FAFSA, some step-by-step FAFSA completions, financial aid, scholarships. So it's lots of information that's on there. So again, it's summertime. Get registered, know what you want to attend, and put it on your calendar.
And thinking about scholarships, I believe the first one on scholarships is in January, because I'm actually doing Q&A with the other access partner that's doing the. But when we talk about scholarships, I always encourage a student to look at the local opportunities first. I know for a fact a lot of my high schools will post scholarships just for students in that building, just for students that went to a particular school district. So with those opportunities, your competition is going to be less severe. Now, we will send you out to some of the national sites like FastWeb and Big Futures and that kind of thing, but know then that you're competing with other students across the nation. So look locally first, your community organizations, your employer, your parents' employer, and your school district for the big money scholarships.
I do agree. That's a good point. Still look for the national ones, because somebody's going to get those scholarships, I say, and it might be you. But I think that sometimes when students just start looking at those national ones first, they get discouraged because they didn't get it, not realizing the amount of competition. And you know, your chances are better with these smaller ones. And also don't get discouraged because it's a smaller amount, because the small awards add up. I know I've had students and they'll say, hey, Ms. Tiff, I saw that scholarship opportunity that you sent us to the site, but it's only for $100. So I didn't bother. I'm like, what do you mean it's $100?
Yeah, like, that's a half of a book.
Yeah, there you go. Might be a quarter of a book these days, but nonetheless, it's money and it's free, and you do not have to repay it.
Absolutely. Free money is the best money.
There you go. For those students who, let's say now, are approaching their senior year in high school, it's senior year, what are some of the things that they should be focused on?
Well, they're going to walk into school, let me see, in August. So definitely, if they did not submit any admissions applications over the summer, I think the admission cycle will open up this month at some schools, but for sure by August they can. So we want to make sure that you have your college admissions work done, preferably before you leave for the Thanksgiving break. And I say that because some schools will return, some of the admissions counselors that you see at the fairs and that kind of thing will return to campus to review the first round of admissions applications that they have. So you want to get them when they're fresh. Maybe they met you at a fair, they gave you a stamp or a code. They are probably looking for your application to come across their desk. So you want to make sure you get your admissions work done, and of course want to prep you and your families for the free application for federal student aid, which will open up on October 1. That application, of course, is your gateway to federal and state funding to help you with your post-secondary career and goals and training, that kind of thing.
And many scholarship organizations will still tell you they want you to complete the FAFSA as well. And for institutional aid, some of them look at that as well, in addition to possibly some additional forms such as like the CSS profile or something like that. But those are all good deadlines to keep in mind. Another thing that I think students should do is, like you said, get their application information ready, know what goes on these college applications. So pull them up in advance so that they're prepared. You know, you're going to need your transcripts. Figure out what else they're going to require of you to make sure you have it. If you need someone to act as a reference, you know, figure out who
get your references.
Who's going to be your reference. Start thinking about that right now. I don't know about you, but I know for me, I have had someone come up to me and say, hey, Ms. Tiff, will you write a letter of recommendation for me? I'm like, well, when do you need it? Tomorrow morning. I'm like, at 7 o'clock the night before.
In the grocery store.
In the grocery store, right? No, it didn't happen in the grocery store for me, but it could.
Mine did the last one.
But it's those things where you're like, you don't want to miss out on a future opportunity because you waited until the last minute, because you don't know what that person has on their schedule. So make sure that you have everything that you need. You ask the people who are going to assist you, you know, how much advance notice do they need to get out your transcript, to write the letter of recommendation, or to send off any of your paperwork. I think those are important things to note as well.
And I believe some of the counselors, you can email them over the summer if you have a list of schools that you want your letters to go to. They can facilitate that.
So that's helpful to know.
Summer break,
Yep. So for those students listening, if you want to do some extra work over the summer and knock that out, get that off your to-do list, go for that one. The other things I say is make sure for those who are approaching that senior year, especially even your junior year, Get with our access partners, get with your high school counselors, find out when we're hosting our financial aid nights, when we're doing our FAFSA completions, and show up. Bring the families there so that you have a full understanding of what the process looks like, to know where your help is coming from, know that we're a viable resource for them. I think that's also helpful, because a lot of times we'll get into the mix of things and they'll get a little overwhelmed and not know where to go. You and I were talking a little earlier, so I want to give you an opportunity to talk about, for the student who doesn't have someone at home to really guide them through, maybe their first gen, maybe there's someone in a more marginalized community, and it's kind of like the resources aren't available. Where do they go? How do they get some help to kind of help them navigate?
Well, we had talked, you and I had talked about the community fairs that are kind of prevalent this time of year. Start there, and of course contact your access partner. Yeah, and because we can, we have access to other resources that you may not be aware of. So yeah.
And then maybe it's a parent, and the parent is saying, "Hey, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to go."
Just send us a quick
They can
email.
reach out to us as well. For those who are wondering, how do you reach your access partners? PHEAA.org. PHEAA.org, and our official title is a Higher Education Access Partner. I'm Tiffanie DeVange.
Sonya Mann-McFarlane.
So we have all of our contact information that is out there. One other thing that I do want to say for the summer, we're giving you a list or a timeline of saying, hey, these are things you should be doing prior to the summer, prior to your senior year, and then throughout your senior year. You're going to complete your paperwork, you're going to do all those things. There's going to come a time when you need to decide which school you're going to go to. And once you've made that decision, you want to make sure you have all of your funding. If you need to research student loans, by all means you do so, but you do it wisely. We have another website called My Smart Borrowing, and I tell everyone to check that one out as well. Just to make sure that you're in the right ballpark and you're not trying to overborrow. And if you do have to borrow, you're only borrowing what is needed. But one of the most important things I say to do over the summer is to do something fun. Make sure you get rejuvenated, you're ready to take on that next academic school year, whether you're learning a new skill, new hobby, reading your favorite book. I want to ask my fellow access partner here to unwind. What's something that you like to do for the summer? Because this is our down season too before we get into the shopping. I like bargain shopping. That's how I actually deflate. I go in a store that I know I'm going to find a deal, have to look for it, and I feel really good when I've done so. That sounds good. So for those of you listening, Sonya is going to agree to take me shopping so we can kind of de-stress together. Yes. On her treat. I think for me, I like puzzles, and I haven't done a puzzle in a long time, but I always would like to do like the big 1,000 piece puzzles. That's a way that I just relax and kind of unwind. I haven't done any this summer, so maybe that's something that I will do. Anything else you think we missed when we're talking about things for students? Just want to make sure that folks know that everything that we do, of course, is free. Our time and our resources, you can order, as Tiffanie said earlier, from the website. Just contact Access Partner if you have questions. We are here to help you for sure. Absolutely, we truly are, and we enjoy what we do. We enjoy helping our students and our families. I enjoyed having you today as my co-host for our Hot Topic segment. For those of you tuning in, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.